podcast. I've got an amazing guest, probably the most famous guest I think we've ever had on the show. And we've had quite a few famous-ish people on the show. Notably, we've had Bird from Judge Judy, who's been on the television screens for 25 years throughout the world. So he was a really great guest, and you're right up there with him. It's Mr. Tommy Chong. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. I love it.
Yeah. How has the last year been for you with the COVID situation? Did it change much in your life, or how's things been in general?
No, it actually improved my life 1,000% at least. And I'm not joking. No, I'm serious, man. See, I knew how to do time. I'd just gotten out of prison. And when I was in prison, when I just got out, everybody asked me, what was prison like? And I would tell them, you'll find out. and and I was right. The whole world got locked down. So I know how to do time. So I'm still having a great time being alone. Yeah, because being a celebrity, social distancing is not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so no, I really enjoyed it. And then check this out. My wife cooked for me every night for months. For months. And I just shut up. I never said anything. Then finally she started noticing it, and then now that the restaurants are open, and our kids are here. My daughter and my grandkids and everything are here. So everybody cooks but her. But she's a fabulous cook too.
What's the best dish she cooks?
I guess it would be chicken wings.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got a thing about chicken wings. She knows how I like them, and all sorts of what do you call it? Real healthy meals, vegan kind of meals.
Are you vegan yourself?
Well, I try not to be, but I'm around her. I sure am.
Yeah.
But. No, actually, I'm a stoner, so I'll eat it. I will attack anything if it's nearby.
Yeah, yeah. All food is good after a few talks, isn't it?
Oh my God, you'll eat shit the dog won't eat.
So, do you want to talk to me a bit about your heritage? Obviously, you were brought up in Canada, but your mother, I was reading, was Scotch-Irish.
Yes.
What is that?
She was Scotch-Irish native or Indian.
Yeah.
Scotch-Irish Indian. Her mother was half native, half Indian. And it was her mother that was married to the Irishman, a Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's how I got the Irish. Yeah. She was half native. And I think Assiniboine. I'm not really sure. I'm going to check it out. Her name was Jemima. And Jemima, and she married a Dylan. Now I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very Irish name.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Dylan, but but that was my mother's. No, it was her grandmother's or her mother's name, married name. Her mother's married name. Yeah, that's what it was. But we were told very proudly that we had Irish blood. We were a Dylan and Scottish blood. We were a Gilchrist and a Dylan.
Yeah.
And a Chong. And then the Chong.
Yeah, because the Chong obviously came from your father's side.
Yeah. Then the Chong moved in. I'll take that beauty. Yeah.
So, I was reading, when you were growing up, that you pretty much bought a house for your parents and paid for it. Is that all true?
Oh, when I made it big,
yeah.
Oh yes. Well, actually, when we had the nightclubs, that was the first bunch of houses that we bought because we were dirt poor. We were truck driver, lives in the country poor, and but as soon as I started making the movies, then I bought them. I bought them their, not so much their dream house. It was actually more like a family house, that I bought them. My mother never was an aristocrat,
Yeah.
she was trained to be a housekeeper
Yeah.
because her mother, our native mother that was married to the Irishman, she committed suicide when my mother was about 3-4 years
Oh,
old.
wow.
And so my mother never had any kind of schooling. And she was like a domestic right off the bat, and she schooled herself. But she never, her writing, I got letters from her that I treasure because they're like works of art,
Mhm.
because her handwriting was so childish, but so filled with love. Oh my God. Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
1960s, Tommy, before you got into movies, you were doing a bit of music with the Shades. What was the
Oh yeah.
music scene like? What was it like to be around and doing gigs in the 60s?
We started it. I go back to the 50s.
Yeah.
I introduced with my band, with the band, I introduced um, rock and roll and rhythm and blues into Canada 1950. I'm guessing about 56, 1956, right after well, actually Elvis was 54. So it was in that area that I had been playing with another native. I was his backup guitar player, and then we met my brother. My brother would play football, and he met this black singer named Tommy Milton, and that's how we started. That's how we started the. You hear me? That's how we started the Shades.
Yeah.
Because one was a full blood Native Indian, a black ex descendant from the slaves in the States, and me, half Chinese, Irish, Scotch, and we call ourselves the Shades because we were the last because of our colors.
Oh,
And
really?
then and then it morphed into a rock and roll band, like a real when the black guy joined, when Tommy Milton joined. And then Tommy went on to do Little Daddy and the Bachelors. After that, I was a member of Little Daddy and the Bachelors, and then I hooked up with another singer named Bobby Taylor, and we became Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, and then we were discovered by Diana Ross
Okay.
and the Supremes, and then she took us to Motown, and we cut a record called "Does Your Mama Know About Me," which I wrote, and that's my claim to fame in the music department.
Yeah. What was the transition then, and how did it come from doing the music to Cheech and Chong, and how did you guys meet?
Well, I found out through, you know, everything's done by accident.
Yeah.
If this didn't happen, this wouldn't be here.
I hear
I
that a lot from people that are on this show. Like they say, "Oh, this happened
yeah.
by I just happened to be here on this day, and then this opportunity came."
Yeah. No, everything that happened to me was meant to happen. I was never meant to be a guitar player, although I can play guitar. I was never meant to do my life at Motown, although I had a really good in there. Uh, so I got fired from Motown, and then, but I've been going to improvisational theaters in LA because they had a couple of incredible theater, the Groundlings, they had the Committee, and I got totally hooked into improvisational comedy. And so when I had freedom, I went up and I turned the strip club that we had into an improvisational theater, and that's where I met Cheech, because we were looking for actors, and Cheech applied to be a straight man, and he got the job because no one else applied. Um, but he and then we got fired because we turned everything into too highbrow. We got away from the strip crowd money, and we got into the upper class theater goers.
Complete opposite
So
worlds.
yeah, and so everybody just went back doing the strip club thing. And Cheech and I were the only ones that were going, wow, what do you want to do now, boss? And so we hooked up well, first of all, we put a band together. We had a bass player and a drummer, a piano player. We were going to do a Sam and Dave kind of routine, the song, But we'd been doing comedy. So we started the show off with comedy and we ended the show with comedy.
Yeah.
Because it was so strong. And that was the beginning of Cheech and Chong. And so then we had to sneak into LA because I'm Canadian and Cheech was a draft dodger. So we snuck back into LA and then we just did every pre-show we could find. And we were doing, we were just showing off. We were showing everybody how awesome we were. And then eventually we found the right guy, the record producer. And then we started doing Cheech and Chong records. And then I got tired of going to Australia every year. Oh, I hate missing the seasons, I grew up in the country and the only joy in life was summer.
Yeah.
Everything else was hard work.
We don't get much of summer over in Ireland, let me tell you.
Yeah, I know. And when you do, boy, you're taking advantage of it, aren't you? Yeah, you kind of strip down wherever you are and you get that sun. Yeah, but you earn it, you see. That was the great thing about my Irish ancestors. They're tough as you'll ever find on the planet.
Have you got to come over to Ireland?
Not yet. That's on my bucket list, boy. I'm coming. I am coming. I want to do some more research on Dylan, my grandfather, and see exactly who he was, where he was from, and all that. You can do that now.
Find out what part of the country he's from, maybe, and visit there.
Yeah. I'll probably find out that he was part of the gangster.
History is history, and we can't change it no matter what he done.
That's for sure. Yeah. So where's the broadcast from?
This is from Kilkenny in Ireland. It's just south of Dublin.
Oh, it's Dublin.
Yeah, just south of Dublin, Kilkenny.
Kilkenny.
Like South Park, Kilkenny. It's exactly like that.
Did they invent golf in Ireland?
Not that I'm aware of, but possibly. I could tell you one fact about Ireland. The book Dracula was written here.
Oh, was?
Yeah, Dracula.
Oh, yeah. Who wrote that?
Bram Stoker.
Oh, yeah. That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dracula. Oh, yeah. I was thinking of Frankenstein for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Dracula. Gotcha. The bloodsucker.
Yeah. When you were part of that 70s show, obviously that's a show it's still iconic now. Did you think when you were part of that show that it'd still have the longevity that it's had?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it started when I joined the show.
Yeah.
Before I joined the show, these were kids playing the 70s. But when I joined the show, I was a piece of the 70s.
Yeah.
So I represented that whole era, in such a way no one else could do that. And I really enjoyed it. Oh, I enjoyed my time. I enjoy my place no matter where I am. So
yeah.
So yeah, the 70s show was very, very dear to me. I had such a kick out of watching the kids grow up. And then watching Kelso and Jackie get married. It was
strange.
Crazy. It was like that should have been filmed. Well, it was filmed. We got to find the film and do I'd like to do what do you call it? Like a reunion.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
That'd be the best, huh?
Yeah.
Especially
you seen with
Danny's in jail.
You seen recently how successful the Friends reunion was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I never saw it. Did you see it?
No, I'm actually not a fan of that show at all, to be honest.
Well, I'm a fan, but I'm not really anxious to see it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
I
know,
think it was more of a kind of a sit around and talk about the episodes kind of thing rather than an
oh,
actual episode.
yeah, yeah. They were just talking. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna start doing a podcast or the Stoner Hour with Tommy Chong,
Yeah.
and all I'm gonna do is as part of the show, I'll be just reminiscing about some of the record bits that Cheech and I did, you know, and go down one by one because so many people, that they grew up with those memories,
Yeah, and characters, yeah.
Yeah, and that 70s show, the same thing. There's a lot of great things that, well, every era has its stuff. I had a great time anyway. It was, but I wasn't sad when it was over.
Everything kind of runs its time, really.
It does. It does. It's like, okay, it's like a bus or a train. Okay, you're stopped. You're approaching your stop. Okay, here it is. Okay, get off.
Yeah. And then if you don't get off, you're in trouble.
well, you're of no use.
Yeah.
You see, you only fit with your crowd. You got to go with. You can't stay back or jump forward. You can just stay where you're at.
Yeah. I've got a few things written down here, a few various television and podcast appearances that you've done in the past, and I just want to get your thoughts on them. The first one was 2014, the Dancing in the Stars. That was completely. It seemed for you as an outsider looking at you and your career and through your characters and whatever. Were you out of your comfort zone doing that, or did you enjoy it?
Well, I I was way out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no comfort anywhere around that show. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Man. It was thrilling. It was like climbing Mount Everest.
Really,
That's
yeah.
what it was like. Yeah, only you're not just climbing, you're running. and then you run back down to the bottom and then you climb it again. That's what it was like. It was the toughest thing I'd ever done in my life.
What was tough? Did you find it difficult to remember the
Well,
routine?
no, I'm old.
Yeah.
It's like taking a 1930 Chev and racing it with an electric car. No, it was no, this body. I mean, the mind was there.
Yeah.
The twinkle in the eye was there, but the rest of my body said, "Can we have a meeting?"
The statistic I read online about it was the oldest man to ever reach the semi-final. That's your trophy from that one.
That's me. That was me. The oldest guy to make the finals. Because I guess the other ones they took pity on him. But I kept getting good numbers. People were watching me.
Yeah.
And of course,
the public were enjoying your pain, I think.
Yeah, the word got out. But the funniest thing when I got voted off,
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's like you die.
Yeah.
It's like you're dead.
Yeah, you're just
and
gone.
No one wants to claim the body. You just hang around and they don't look at you anymore.
Yeah.
You see, when you're on the show, they're always looking at you. They're because you're valuable. But the minute you're off the show, it's like you're done. You're done. Excuse me, what are you doing here? Can I help you, sir?
Yeah, and the show must go on, of course.
Oh, excuse me. Here's another guy. Yeah, and the other guy, they're running out there to do the show. No, I enjoyed it so much, man. And then I enjoyed The Masked Singer. Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen that. No.
Oh, you got to see that because of my Dancing with the Stars. They booked me. I think we're the first or second show of The Masked Singer.
I've never seen The Masked Singer. It mustn't be broadcast over here.
Oh, probably not. But what it is that they mask people, and everybody's got to guess who they are.
Oh.
And there some top singers, some actors, and everything's a surprise. So yeah.
there was one thing we'd have a lot of wrestling guests on this podcast and guys from the WWE and that, and you were there in 2010. I remember there was a little segment and you guys were kind of hosting Raw, and there was a little segment backstage. You remember that where you were
Sure.
hallucinating and you were supposed to be touching Kelly, but it ended up being William Regal.
Yeah.
What was it like
Yeah.
going into work in the WWE for that period?
Yeah, it's very iconic. You know, it's something that, you know, it's a piece of life. It's like going to another planet in the solar system.
Did you get to meet Vince McMahon?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. We met them all. We sure did. But you know, they are what they are. When I was a kid, wrestling was the biggest. Everybody believed it. You know, the
Yeah.
neighborhood I grew up. You know, oh, that was real. That was real. And I had a godmother, a Christian lady, that followed the wrestlers. She was a big fan, and she would get their autographs and send them to me.
Really?
You know, when I was around 10, 11 years old. And it was great. I had a nice, but I'm not a collector. I'm a hoarder, but I'm not a collector.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like fun. I had a director on the show the other night. He directed Friday the 13th, Part 6. His name is Tom McLaughlin.
Oh, yeah.
He said in 1987, I believe it was, because the year after he directed the film, they wanted him to make another. And he suggested to the production company that it should be Jason meets Cheech and Chong. Did you hear anything about this before?
No, this is the first time.
Really?
First time. I would, Cheech, both of I would jump at that one.
Yeah.
We would love that one. Yeah. That was the only genre we never explored, you know.
The horror.
Yeah, we broke up too soon. You know, that was the next on my list. You know, I wanted to do a real scary. I wrote a real good one. You know that. Remember that one by Stephen King, Christine, the car. Yeah. Well, I wrote one where it's a surfboard.
Okay.
A surfboard, and this little boy, you know, the surfboard washes up right at his feet, and he picks it up and brings it home, and then these bullies, they bully the kid out of the surfboard, and every time they're mean to the kid, something really bad happens to the ones that steal the board.
Yeah.
And the board keeps coming back to the kid. So yeah, I can't wait to do a scary movie.
I'll be showing this footage to Tom McLaughlin. He'd be very interested to hear it, because I don't think the producers at the time were a fan of going down the comedy road too far with Jason. Like, but it's interesting because he asked me to ask you, so you have no memory of being offered that role anyway.
No. I would have grabbed it, you know. After we did Corsican Brothers, though, Cheech was sort of like drifting away. In fact, he did drift away. You know.
Yeah.
In fact, the Corsican Brothers was sort of like a test. It was like a live action about what was going on in Cheech's life, because it was his real wife that he divorced was in the movie, Ricky.
That'd be art imitating life, isn't that the other way around?
Yeah, I think that was one of the reasons we broke up.
Yeah.
because yeah, I was part of the divorce settlement. Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna touch on the laws in Ireland surrounding weed and cannabis compared to America.
Oh, what is going on there, man?
I got a story there today. I've memorized it anyway, but I'll just give you an example of what happened 2 months ago. This guy was caught with €4 worth of weed, so it's about maybe $2.50 worth of weed, and he was taken to court because it was his 5th time being caught. Now, obviously, before he was probably caught with a bit more, but all for personal use.
Yes.
And so what happened was they didn't fine him, but they gave him community service. So you know what that is like. But they wouldn't, they said he could only do the community service if he was clean off weed.
Well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
That is really stupid. So what did so what did he do the community, or did he get time
I
in
don't
jail?
know. That's the last I seen. The article was posted 2 months ago, so there might be a follow up to it. But that's just a small example, kind of, because Ireland
No,
kind of sees itself
yeah,
now as getting more progressive. We legalized gay marriage a couple of years ago, and then there was a referendum last year for abortion, if women want to have an abortion or not, and things like that. So I think maybe the cannabis is down the line, but it seems that the laws over here are very strict compared to the States now.
yeah. Well, you got to remember that when Nixon was around, they started paying countries like Ireland, like all
Mm,
those countries, to eradicate the marijuana, if they grew it, or
yeah,
to put heavy penalties on for users. It's a racist law, and in Ireland and England, all those places, they fell right into line, with Reagan. Uh, but now it's a proven medicine,
hmm,
and so all we're seeing really is the ignorant and the corrupt.
yeah.
That's all we're seeing. It's out there. I mean,
There,
that's the test. There's no
there's
reason to keep that illegal, except for someone's misguided beliefs. And now we've evolved. This telephone that we're holding, we take it for granted, but
yeah,
it wasn't around when those guys were elected. when,
yeah,
you know, that kind of this kind of brains that we got now, that we have access to, the knowledge that we have access to, they never had it back there. And so you guys got to do a lot of house cleaning when it comes to the political scene. You
yeah.
know, you
There's
got to
a
take control, get some progressives in there,
yeah.
and catch up with the rest of catch up with some of the world.
There's a case that's often in the media here. There's a very young girl. I think she's only 11, and she needs medical marijuana pretty much to survive.
Sure.
So her mother is a big advocate for legalizing it in this country for medicinal purposes, because she has to get special permission from the government to go to either Brussels or Holland to get the weed
Yeah.
and then to bring it
Yeah.
back. And they always seem to be encountering problems. It's
Of
just,
course. Of course. Because you're doing something that shouldn't be done, which is enforcing a corrupt law. It's a racist law, and they should follow the guidelines of racism, like Nazis. There's laws against being able to promote Nazism in Europe,
yeah,
and it should be the same against being against medicine like cannabis. And by the way, I don't call it marijuana. I call it cannabis.
yeah.
That's the proper name. You know, when they want to make it illegal, they call it marijuana.
Hmm.
When they catch illegal drugs, it's marijuana. No, it's not. It's cannabis,
Yeah,
and that's what your people have to come to. It'll be the young. It'll be the young ones. You got to do it at the ballot box. You got to make sure that the elections. When you have elections, you got to change the order, and then you got to put progressives and intellectuals, in charge of what the people should get.
yeah.
Because right now, it was the oil company. The oil
Hmm.
companies losing ground, like a lot of it. The pharmaceutical companies. They're
Yeah,
the ones that don't want this weed legal.
yeah,
You know,
of course.
and that's behind the scenes. They're the ones that lobby against or for these stupid laws. And America is going through that right now with all the Trumpies trying to stay in power, or at least have some kind of, or if anything, raise money, because
Yeah,
that's all they can do. That's all they can do is raise money, and they'll need it because when our legal system starts grinding them out, they're going to grind them all into little tiny little particles, and you know, and we'll smoke them too. No, we'll sprinkle them on the grow ground. Let the ground do it for it. No, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And what we have to do, see, you can't you can't change another person. You can only change yourself.
Hmm.
And being militant or being arrogant or being anything but kind and gentle is a waste of time, you know,
Yeah.
because you have to relax, because the spirit can't come in if there's tension, if there's any kind of weirdness going on. There's no room for the spirit to get in there,
Yeah.
you know. And so when you relax and you open the door, you know, then the spirit floods in. It comes in with the greatest ideas and the greatest solutions. And mostly the solution is education.
Yeah.
That's the solution. You know, people aren't going to hate something that they love, you know, and so they have to learn to love, uh, you know, the cannabis, you know,
Yeah.
love its effect. You know, that's what I do with people. I give them, I got these little, what do you call it? What are they? They're like breast strips,
Hmm.
you know, and I got my own stash, you know, so you don't have to smoke anything. You don't have to get a bong or anything like that. This is one. This is my own private thing.
Is this
And
from Tommy Chong Cannabis?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a Tommy Chong cannabis thing, and what it does, it's just a. I'll show it to you. It's just like that. Oh, that's 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 a stoner move. It's like sneezing at a coke party. Anyway, it's a tiny little square little thing that melts in your mouth. You
Okay,
know,
yeah. There's plenty of different
and
ways to enjoy all the cannabis needs from Tommy Chong's
well,
cannabis.
yeah, what it does, it relaxes you. See, that's the key. Relax.
Yeah.
When you're relaxed, you can play golf. You can write songs. You can enjoy television. You can eat anything. You can do so many good things, you know, but you have to be relaxed. It's hard to do anything if you're not relaxed. And that's what cannabis does, you know. And so we'll have to relax the laws, you know, but and it will be done or not. You know,
So,
we got the time, you
so
know.
Tommy Chong is saying now, Ireland, you need to legalize it and get your shit together.
Yes, yes. In fact, use your shit. You know, makes a great fertilizer. You know. So yeah, that's what you got to do, Ireland. Ireland. What else you got to do? Uh, I don't know. Hey, vote those fools up. That's what you got to do. You got to vote. That's what democracy is all about. You know, wherever there's a free, you know, election, that's when you pay attention. That's when you go to, you know, organize. You know, protests are okay. You know, it's a sign of unrest, but it can be used by the other side too easily.
Yeah.
But what can be used is just love and respect. You know, and it begins with love and respecting yourself. See, a lot of people, they've sold their souls and they don't know how to get it back, you know, so they're stuck. And the best way to get anything back is to admit you did, first of all, admit your mistakes, and then forgive yourself and take
Yeah.
whatever you got to take, you know, because it's all a lesson. You know, you know, it's like people that pay a lot of money go to a gymnasium, like a gym, and they lift weights. You know, and the heavier they
Tough
get,
guys.
they're tough guys and they're well built. But you know what they're doing? They're actually hurting themselves and getting off on it. You know, and now manual labor will do that for you. You know, and for exercises, like I don't have to join a gym. all I have to do is do some of the chores that are been waiting for me ever since I've been locked down, and turn it into an exercise routine. You know, and so if you get high like I do every day, then you will automatically begin to invent new ways of, or invent things to do while you're doing something else. You know, like I always have the music on, but it's not always the music that I grew up with or love or anything. Sometimes it's some ethnic station that I just want to feel that vibration, you know, or hear those sounds that I'm not used to, or hear that language that is foreign to me, but it's so musical. You know, there's something really beautiful about humanity, and everywhere you look, if you're stoned enough, you see all sorts of humanity, you know, all sorts of beautiful living things that, like I come just before the podcast, there's a bird got, it was inside my house because I got a jungle around the house. And so when the doors are open, the birds think it's part of the jungle
Yeah.
until it sees my little poodle trying to catch it and eat it, you know. And then the drama begins, you know. But I mean, that's because I took the time to find some good cannabis, roll it up, and smoke it up, and then now my life, you can't get bored. You can't even get bored.
It's the way forward.
Yes.
Yeah, Tommy, listen,
it's the only way forward.
It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you today on the podcast, man. I really, really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for having me. And